So in this segment, we will discuss how different systems work together to supply actually energy to the muscles, and what are the ergonomic implications. So in this segment, we will see how respiratory, cardiovascular, and digestive systems work to produce energy, and how respiratory and cardiovascular systems respond to increase in energy demand, and what are its economic implications. So these discussions actually take place under the subject of physiology. That is quite a detailed subject, and it is the branch of biology that deals with the normal functions of living organisms and their parts. And especially in human factors, we are concerned with work physiology. So it is a study of physiological information about humans and how to apply that information in the evaluation and design of work. These phenomena and to apply that information to design the workplace or the jobs from human point of view, and evaluate the existing jobs to make improvement in them. The schematic that is showing in a simplified way how these systems work together. So we need oxygen, and that is supplied through inhaling. And there is a detailed process that we have studied that takes place in lungs. So one of the outputs is CO2, carbon dioxide, and that is exhausted as a process of exhaling. That oxygen is supplied to heart, and the blood is oxygenated here, and that blood through arteries reaches your digestive tract, where you have the food stuff. And of course, there is some waste that is produced as a byproduct of digestive system. So that oxygen plus nutrients that were received through food, they move through the cardiovascular systems, and ultimately they reach the muscle tissues. So energy is produced as a result of whole process, and a part of that energy is used in some physical activities that are performed through muscles. And of course, there are byproducts as a result of these activities as well. So some heat is produced. In fact, a lot of energy is consumed to produce this heat. And of course, water is produced as well as carbon dioxide, especially as water is produced as a result of perspiration or sweating. And this H2O and heat are discharged through skin, this process of perspiration. And what was left was this carbon dioxide, so that reaches again the heart. So that is actually obvious that everything is being transported through the blood. So this deoxygenated blood that carries carbon dioxide reaches heart through veins, and then of course heart exchanges that carbon dioxide with the lungs, and that cycle repeats. So that is a simplified diagram showing how this oxygen is involved in, for example, digesting the food, and how actually it is required to supply energy. That is a process of metabolism, where food stuff breaks down into energy, and how actually these waste products as the result of all processes are produced and discharged. So waste products as a part of digestive system, the waste product that are produced as a part of physical activity. So some of them discharge through skins, some others through the lungs, and so on. So, but you know these things already, you have studied in more details, but what are the ergonomic implications? So when physical demands on human body increases because of greater muscle activity. So if you are performing some heavy muscle activity, the respiratory system and cardiovascular systems must work hard. So these two systems, the respiratory and cardiovascular system, must respond to the change in physical demands of the human body. So the body must breathe heavier because you need more oxygen to oxygenate more blood through the lungs, and the heart must beat faster to distribute the greater amounts of oxygenated blood to the muscle tissues and return the waste products to be expelled. So both these systems should work harder to supply quickly and to to expel the waste products quickly as well. So these systems also need to dissipate the excess heat that is a byproduct of muscular contraction. And we will see in one of the following segments that it takes some time for respiratory system and cardiovascular system to respond to these changes in demand because of increase in physical activity. So the oxygen that is required is not immediately supplied to sort of break the foodstuff into energy. And we will see that in that case, the human body has some backup mechanism to actually supply energy, unless these natural systems, these bigger or heavier systems, are able to supply the relevant stuff for a certain activity. So when the body is resting, about 15 to 20% of the blood flow is distributed to the muscles. In heavy work, 70 to 75% is distributed. So that is very important. So when you are relaxed, just like now you are sitting, so just about 20% of the blood flow is towards your muscles. But when physical activity is there, when you are performing physically heavy work, the distribution changes. Actually, your nervous system adjusts the distribution of the blood, and of course the hormones and the oxygen and the food stuff that your blood contains, depending upon the change in activity. So from here you can see that in resting, this is the distribution of blood in different body parts. So muscles receive 15 to 20%, skin receives 5, and so on. Now, once there is change in physical state and you are performing some moderate work, so the portion, the percentage that muscles receive increases from say 20% to 45%. But the total blood in the body is the same. So as the skin also has a higher proportion. It has a higher share in this case. So it increases say from 5% to 40%, but total blood in the body remains the same. So this increase in share for muscles and skin is at the cost of decrease in share for other body parts. So you can see the share of digestive system is a decrease, same is true for kidneys as well as brains. And even if the work is more heavy, the muscles receive even higher share, so from 70 to 75%. And digestive system, kidney and brain, they have further reduced their share. So you might have heard or noticed that if someone works very hard under hot conditions where heavy energy is required, so the digestive system or other systems get disturbed, or if there is too heavy tasks, the concentration of that person may also get disturbed. So one of the reasons actually could be the limited blood flow to these systems like digestive system, kidneys, brain, and so on. And you might also notice that the share of heart doesn't change, because heart has in any case to pump the blood to the body, whether you are at rest or you're performing some physical work. So as a whole, the share for the heart remains unchanged. So this table shows the blood flow distribution to several organs or tissues in three situations. For example, at rest condition, muscles receive about 15 to 20% of the total cardiac output, but during moderate work, in hot environment, they receive about 45% of the total cardiac output. During heavy work in a moderate environment, this percentage even moves to 70 to 75%. So whatever food stuff we take in form of food or drink, some of that is discharged as byproducts. Now what remains is what we can call as net energy input after this waste material is discharged. Some of that is used in repair and maintenance of your body cells. So especially it is true for proteins. So it is not used for some physical activity. It is used to build your body, either for repair or maintenance, or of course your body needs to be built, especially during your young age, the kids and the teenagers. So their body size, their height is also increasing. So some energy goes there. Some of that energy is stored. Some of that energy is stored as well. So whatever is left is actually used in the schematic diagram that we saw in one of the previous slides, to cardiovascular and respiratory system, and that is actually conveyed to, that is actually supplied to your muscles. But even certain percentage of that is used to produce heat, and only small percentage, just about maybe 20 to 25% is actually used to perform work. So out of this 100%, the percentage that is used to perform work is maximum 20 to 25%. So you can look at it as an efficiency of your system as a whole. So that is about 20 to 25%. So the percentage of output, that is your work, to the input that you took as a foodstuff, is about a maximum 20 to 25%. In certain cases, it is even less than this. So at most 25% of the energy that enters the body in the form of food can be used for muscular work. That is maximum. This is the upper limit of the energy efficiency for the human body, and it is typically achieved only for the large muscles in the body, such as the leg muscles. For the smaller muscles in the arms and shoulders, an efficiency of about 10 to 15% is typical. So rest is either discharged or stored or used to produce heat. Therefore, one should try to use the large muscles for work rather than the small muscles. So this is the principle that we discussed during our discussion on manual material handling as well, that larger muscles should be used because they are having more power. And here you can see that as they receive sort of more energy because of higher efficiency, they should be used for muscular work where possible. So most of the energy produced in the biomechanical reaction, this conversion of glucose into energy, is in the form of heat. So the body perspires to dissipate the excess heat produced by the increased muscle activity. There's three principal reactions of the human body to increased physical activity are greater oxygen consumption, faster heart rate, and perspiration. So we saw the first two in one of the previous slides, that when the physical demand of a task increases, so your breathing increases, you take more oxygen, and in order to deliver higher energy to the muscles, your heart beat increases as well. And the third output is that as more physical activity is being performed, so more heat is generated as a byproduct, and that heat needs to be dissipated through skin as a result of perspiration. So these are the three obvious results of increased physical activity. So in this segment, we discuss cardiovascular and respiratory systems perform a number of critical functions. They exchange and transport oxygen, they transport hormones, they transport or discharge the waste products, and they also are involved in thermoregulation, that is maintaining the body temperature through sweating, for example. These systems are under the control of autonomic nervous system. As we discussed, that autonomic nervous system is a part of is a part of peripheral nervous system, and these functions, as mentioned, are controlled through this system. These systems, that is the cardiovascular and respiratory systems, respond to changes in energy in demand. So they work harder when the demand increases. So share of blood to different body parts changes as the nature of task changes. And in general, as the physical activity increases in intensity, so the share of the blood and of course the resulting oxygen and foodstuff to the muscles also increases, but at the cost of decrease in the supply of blood to other body parts. In the next segment, we will discuss metabolism, its types, and ergonomic implications, and this part C will relate to the part B that we just discussed.